Black magic is a form of sorcery that relies on malevolent and malicious forces. It can be invoked and used for the worst of deeds imaginable, such as murder, causing discord, harming others, and destruction. For sorcerers and those who resort to them, the most important thing is to achieve personal gains, disregarding the harmful effects inflicted on others by their actions. They, along with similar individuals who have stripped themselves of all human emotions, care solely about fulfilling their own desires. Our friend's insatiable curiosity towards exploring the contents of the Book of Knowledge kept growing day by day. One day, after finishing his first-year university exams, he decided to visit the old library and inquire about the book. Although he managed to get a copied version that wasn't original, he was overwhelmed with happiness at that moment. He returned home and hid the book, waiting for the right opportunity. About 10 days later, his family went to attend his cousin's wedding. He pretended to be unwell and stayed back, having already planned the first enchantment he wanted to execute from his beloved book. He followed through with everything, lighting candles, turning off all the lights in the house, and drawing the symbols outlined in the enchantment. He waited for the signal, recalling the coffee he had put on the stove, when he went to check upon his return. He went to check on it to calm his nerves. When he returned, he found all the candles had been extinguished. This was the signal, unbeknownst to him. It was only moments later when he found his family returning. They were puzzled by his behavior, so they asked him why they hadn't attended the wedding. He was surprised by their question and asked if he had been asleep since they left and had just woken up. He looked at the clock and was shocked by what he saw. He hadn't felt the passage of time at all. He waited for a few days, but the genie he had summoned for his service, as he believed, did not appear to him. He decided to seize the nearest opportunity to perform another, even more powerful enchantment, with one of its main conditions being the sacrifice of a black cat. Carrying the burden of finding a black cat and where to find it, he decided not to bother himself with the search, as he would not be able to slaughter an innocent creature. He heard the doorbell ring, so he opened the door to find a black cat staring at him. He felt deep within himself as if it had come to him for him to do what he had read in the book. Indeed, he proceeded to perform the enchantment meticulously. He slaughtered the black cat and used its blood as a tool to draw symbols and incantations on the bathroom floor. He mixed some of its blood with his own, letting the blended blood flow from the top of his head onto the rest of his body, then sat for the second time, waiting for the sign. However, at that moment, his family arrived and interrupted his solitude. He quickly wiped away the blood and concealed all the evidence. On the same day, strange occurrences began to manifest. While returning from work on vacation, he found his younger sister sitting on the stairs in the darkness. When he yelled at her, she ran inside the house. He followed her and started yelling at her. When his father asked him about the reason for his screams and raised voice, he informed him of the news. His father was surprised by his condition and was shocked when he told him that his younger sister had been asleep for a long time. When he entered her room, he found her deeply asleep, and what astonished him was that she was wearing clothes different from those he had seen her wearing on the stairs. 3 days later, he felt a sleep overtaking all his senses. He found himself sleeping on the couch next to the bathroom. It felt as if there were two dark-nailed hands pulling him down the couch, and despite all his attempts to escape this sensation, he failed. When he opened his eyes, he found her in front of him. She was a queen from the jinn that he prepared for the second time, and she killed the genie he prepared in the first attempt. She wanted him to dispose of her, and that's it. Otherwise, he didn't know the danger awaiting him. He didn't know how to dispose of her, and the book didn't mention anything similar. In the book, he felt extreme fear of her threats and realized from the beginning that his curiosity would one day be the cause of his demise. In the same week, his mother was struck by a strange condition. She stopped talking to anyone, not even acknowledging her husband or her children. She stopped eating and sleeping, and her condition was as difficult as it was strange. Despite taking her to several doctors, none of them could diagnose her condition conclusively. They had to restrain her hands and legs to the bed. All this, and the young man never realized that all these situations in his house were due to what he did. And because of his cursed black book, his mother had a brother living in the Holy Lands. When he learned about his sister's deteriorating condition, he came to see her. When he saw her, he sat on the ground, unable to bear it. He knew that her condition was due to the jinn. He had been a spiritual healer for many years. And with his long experience, as soon as he began reading on her, he knew everything that had happened to them all. He grabbed his nephew and asked him threateningly, "Where is the book?" The young man had succeeded in hiding it on the roof of the house. He brought the book to him and began his work. The first thing he did was to burn it and began treating his sister. The strange phenomena were gradually disappearing, but they all appeared to the young man. He was hurt and unable to speak about what he saw and encountered. The Jinn Queen refused to leave their lives without harming them, especially the young man who made her subject to his word. Despite all his uncle's efforts to prevent the Jinn from harming him, he couldn't do anything for him. After a month, they found him drowned in his blood in the bathroom, with the same symbols he had drawn by his hand. Name for you.